Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So here's what happened. This story time, I'm not going to get his permission because he told the story on a public, underneath a public video. The gentleman whose story I'm going to tell you wrote it in the form of a comment underneath the video. However, as a courtesy, since I've forgotten his username on YouTube and I've forgotten under which video I found it, I'm not even going to look for these things in case he didn't want my audience to know who he was. What I will do is I'll tell you the story nonetheless without his name. He lived in Kenya and he got his education there, and then he found a lady there growing up or getting his education. I found a lady there that he liked, so he asked her out, and she declined, not because he was too short, but because he was short a class from getting a certification that she would have wanted him to have, and she was going for a more exclusive or more difficult degree, or more prestigious degree or certification or credential herself. Time moved on. He finished, she finished. He got a job in his field in the United States and moved to the US, started working. He worked for 2 years before he took his first vacation back home in Kenya. Then when the Christmas break came, he went back to visit his parents. As he visited, the lady that declined him previously found out that he was in town. She went to him. I guess it was at his parents' house, I forgot where, but she asked him if he would be with her and be the father to the child she was expecting, whom she could not raise by herself and whose father bailed on her. He did what he was supposed to do. He declined. He said that's not his problem, and he left her on her knees crying. That was cold-hearted, and that was exactly what he needed to do. There's more. I do not celebrate in her suffering per se. It's okay that she has standards. That doesn't make her a bad person. The problem I have is that she decided that she was going to come back to him later. A lot of us would. And I'm not going to buy that she just didn't know how this guy was, because in all honesty, women love to sit up and say that they can read men, and that's something they only use to justify their shallow preferences. Now this we all know for a fact because we've all observed this. They tell you that they're great at reading people, and then in the end what it comes down to is that they're great at justifying what they want and passing up what they don't want and whom they don't want. So I don't tell men to take accountability when women say you should have chosen better. I mean, there are men who should and have options, but a lot of men don't have options and don't know how to vet. Who's walking around teaching us this? This is something we're just now beginning to learn. We're just now beginning to tell each other that it's even okay to do, let alone discuss how to do it. So she somewhere down the line entertained hope that this man would agree. She went to him and asked him to do something much more difficult than whatever he asked of her. Somewhere down the line, someone in the West has done the same thing. Some ones in the West have done the exact same thing, and they've gotten what they wanted. And this is the fuel for the hope that Karen, Becky, and Amber spread falsely into other areas around the globe. A hope that at one point wasn't false, but is now becoming false. 30 years ago, when I was a teen. I tried to preach the same things that we're now telling each other, and I was told this is unrealistic. We can't do that. We're guys. It's impossible. You're stupid. You're dreaming. You're just going to have to learn game. If you ever want a bit of gitch, and no, I didn't cuss. And now, because this was our attitude, which we got from elders or just old ninjas, which we got from guys our own age, from TV, from everyone. Today, we're dealing with a scenario in which back in the motherland, I don't know if this is Nairobi or if it's a more rural and traditional area, but we're dealing with a scenario in which they feel comfortable going to men that they don't want and saying, would you please raise this other man's seed? There are two things that we need to do, gentlemen. One is we need to shun men who hold us accountable for anything other than being too easy. On an individual level, you hold men accountable for whatever they do individually that you know they did. I'm not talking about that. But collectively, men who want to hold men collectively accountable for anything other than being too easy, we must shun them as much as possible. If you must work with them, you work with them. Outside of that, you have nothing to do with them. You don't have to. Then, the second thing we must do is we must shun men who are too easy after this has been presented to them. Being too easy means things like spoiling your daughters. It doesn't just mean you pursue ladies too difficultly or with too much. It means you spoil your daughters as well. Being the kind of man like Kendra G's father. It's a reason for which we must shun men. If they can see the value in both genders, that's balanced. We're not against them seeing value in women, their daughters or other women. But when they see that women are just right off the bat more valuable than men just because they're women, we say, nope, shuck that fit. They killed chivalry. We're not here to try to resuscitate it. That's their job. That's what we must do. Because right now, as it stands, the only reason that the lady in the story found the comfort level to try, as much as she begged and cried in the end, the only reason she found the courage and the hope to even try this is because there are men who have accepted this and have given these ladies a story to tell in their own story time playlist, in which they make all the bad and irresponsible decisions that feel good at the time, and then they get rescued from the consequences they're supposed to face. And then they never have to deal with any negative experiences resulting from choices they made. Pick now who you simply deem to be the superior male. Don't worry if he doesn't commit. He won't commit. Get with the inferior one to do for you everything you would have never asked that so-called superior male to do, but would have appreciated if he did. We let that narrative go on. That's on us. And it's time we just go ahead and admit that this is partially, that's the only thing that's our fault. Again, that goes underneath that umbrella of being too easy. And we can change this not only by making the decision that this man made when you're presented with it. And a lot of you gentlemen are your normal men, so you're going to face this at some point in your life. He just faced it 2 years after he got his first job in the States. But you must also be ready to shun men who fuel this type of thing. Because I told you, Karen, Becky, and Amber are busy spreading this around the world. Hopefully we'll get busier spreading this to the men around the world. Thank you for listening again. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout, Assalamu Alaikum, and Black Heterosexual Non-Select Male Power, because they don't like it, and Black Patriarchy until extinction or Judgment Day.